Welcome back to the Manifested Podcast with Kathleen Cameron. I am so excited about today's episode because I am going to be talking about something that is so special, means so much to me, that I am elated about, and that is the release of my next book, The Best of Yourself. So this book has been literally years in the making. So I haven't been writing it for years, but after I released my first book, Becoming the One, in 2021, there was such a big response to that book. You know, it went international bestseller in 6 countries on the first day of release. So many of you sent me pictures of yourselves reading it and of all the highlighting within the book. I never forget the one day that my beautiful friend Anahi came to see me in California. I was doing a book signing at Alice and Olivia's on Rodeo Drive. And she came to meet me, and she brought her book, and it was like the entire book was highlighted with notes and dog ears and Post-it notes. And in that moment, I realized just how powerful me putting my thoughts and my ideas and my knowledge and my understanding in a book could be for other people. And so I always knew there was a second book in me. You know, that first book, Becoming the One, was written in 5 weeks. My beautiful friend, Peggy McCall, was such an accountability for me. She kept me on track. She kept me motivated. She kept it moving. And she really knew that this book would help people. And study has been the basis of all of my knowledge and understanding for manifestation and putting into practice what I study. And so for people to now be studying my book and to be getting that information and that embodiment from that was so beautiful. But the book was telling of my story. It was telling my story how I quantum leaped my life, how I went from registered nurse to $3.3 million in my first year of business. And so many people would ask me, Kathleen, how did you do that? And I would say to them, it's not about what I did, but it's about the way in which I thought. So that book, Becoming the One, my first one, it's short and sweet and an easy, beautiful read. It told you that exact path that my thoughts took. So in that book, I showed you how I elevated the experience of who I am and how I became a different version of myself in my own mind and how the outside world reflected. But what I didn't go into in that book was any teaching. I didn't tell you what I thought you should do or how you could shift your beliefs or what steps to take. And it was all about telling of my story in my perspective and from my voice. And while that was beautiful and that was powerful, I always felt like there was so much more. I had so much information to give, so much knowledge, so many ways in which you could journal and consider this and change your focused attention and all those things. So my second book was always something that I really knew that I wanted to make it a lot more thorough and where I wanted to teach. So yes, I still tell my stories, but the important thing is that you can literally study in this book the ideas around manifestation, and you will see that you can change your entire existence. So what is the best of yourself? And this book didn't have a title for a while. And the title came to me one day. I was on an airplane. I was going to Los Angeles, California. I had a beautiful pod, and I was reading one of my favorite books to read on the airplane, which is Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Behrend. And as I was reading this book, I read the whole thing on the flight. Beautiful, quick, easy read. Always reminds me of the power of visualization. And near the end of the book, and I know many of my followers have sent me exactly where it is in the book, and I don't have it in front of me, but near the end of the book, she makes a comment or a statement about being the best of yourself. And as soon as she said it, I knew that was my book title. In that moment, that's it. This book, I knew was going to be about self-concept. It was going to be about identity. It was going to be about the way you see you, not about manifestation. Because so many people are out here trying to manifest things in their life. They're trying to manifest a new partner. They're trying to manifest a new house, a new job, a new business, more money. And so they're out in the physical world moving around the circumstances. They're trying to change the 3D physical world, and they're getting it all wrong. It's about changing the way you see you. That's where manifestation happens, because who you are, the consciousness that you have right now about you, is what you manifest. So you don't manifest what you want, you manifest who you are. So yes, you decide, what would I love? What type of life would I want to experience? And then you ask the question, who do I need to be in order to have that? Because that version of you, that parallel reality that exists, that you are your most successful, you are your happiest, you're most joyful, you have the best relationships, you have time and financial freedom, you believe certain things about yourself at that point. And you don't currently believe them now, or you would have all of those things. So most people will create a vision board and they will put it up on their wall, and they will continue to be the same version of themselves that doesn't have what's on the vision board, and then they stay right where they are. So my advice to you is to create the vision board, look back at it and say, who do I need to be to achieve this? That is the key to manifestation. So The Best of Yourself is a book that will help you to realize your true potential and will help you to realize who you really are. So it's not who you are that manifests, it's who you think you are that manifests. So the key here then with The Best of Yourself is realizing that you can be whoever you want to be. You can see yourself in any way you desire. You are not defined. You are not described. You are not stuck in the version of you that you think you are right now. You can be whoever you want to be. So the best of yourself then isn't the creation of a new version of you, but remembering who you really are. The best of yourself is tapping into the experience of what it means to be yourself. My favorite author on this topic is Thomas Troward, and he has in his book, Hidden Power, which is the Door Lectures, he has an essay called Yourself. And there's something that he says in that essay that is just absolutely brilliant. He says, there is a livingness in being yourself. So when you're not trying to be like someone else, when you're not comparing yourself to someone else, when you're not trying to measure up, you're not trying to know more, you're not trying to look more confident or be more successful, but when you just allow yourself to be yourself, that to me is pure freedom. So I think about relationships with people. There's people in our lives that we meet and we're like, oh, I just feel so comfortable around you. I can just be myself. And you love that. Why? Why do you love that? Because you can just be. What that tells me is that the times when you're with other people where you can't be yourself, you're trying to be something else. So you're trying to say the right thing. You're trying to look the right way. You're trying to impress the right person. And so that person that you're with, you are allowing them to influence the way in which you behave. And you don't have to do that. And that's the best of yourself, is letting yourself be comfortable to be you in every moment of your life, in every situation, in every experience. So it's about, I'm going to go into this meeting and know that I'm worthy of sitting at that table. I'm going to go in and I'm going to accept this job knowing that I'm going to be myself and it's going to be more than enough. It's about tapping into your qualities and knowing that you're important and that you're special and that you're powerful and owning your individuality. There are 7 levels of awareness, and the second level of awareness is called the masses. And this is where majority of people remain. And so I joke about it. I say they're in the matrix, because when you are in this level of awareness, you just want to be like everybody else. So you want to put that on your vision board because everybody else has it on their vision board. You want to drive that car because everybody else does. You want to have that business because everybody else has that business. You know, you want to look a certain way. You want to wear a certain outfit. You want to like certain music. You want to follow all the trends because that's your level of awareness. And I think about my little girls. They're 9 and 11 now. And they love to be like their friends. All of their friends like the same music and they want to wear the same clothes and they love the same shows. And so when we're becoming more and more aware and we're growing and we're developing, we should actually rise up and out of that. That's a higher level of awareness. So for you to want to be unique, to be individual, to not follow the trend but become a trailblazer, you know, for somebody who wants to be the first to do something instead of follow thousands of people doing it, it's a different level and it requires a different version of you. It requires that you see yourself in a different way. And so this is what the best of yourself is helping you to realize that whatever quality it is that you think you're lacking is really already within you. It's already there. And anything that you see anybody else experiencing outside of you, anything else you see someone else having, doing, being, that's available to you. Them doing it is experience enough to tell you that it is possible. It's your belief that you cannot do it that is actually keeping you from doing it. So many people will come to me and they will say things like, "You inspire me, Kathleen. I wish I could do that." And the only reason they're not doing it is because they don't believe in themselves in the way that I decided to curate belief in myself. I allowed myself to harness the belief that I've always had in there and let it shine instead of staying with who I thought I was. I remember when I was young, my early 20s, I was really starting to figure out who I was. I would say statements about myself, like I'm shy, I'm introverted, I'm sensitive, I take things personal, things like that. And I would have just chalked it up to it being my personality. Like, my personality is this, my personality is that. I'm not very confident and I'm not very good at this. And I would have never spoken on stage in front of people or had the attention in front of me. When I was in high school, I would never put my hand up to ask a question or answer a question. I would sit in the back of the class and I would take zeros on presentations. We had this class where we had to give speeches and I was like, no way, I'm not giving a speech. And the reason is that I didn't think that what I had to say was worthy. I didn't think that I was good enough. I didn't want the attention from other people on me. I didn't want to be judged. But deep down, I just wasn't worthy. And so now this version of me is stepping into somebody that's on stage giving speeches. And I just gave a 2.5 minute speech, I believe, at a gala red carpet at Grammy Museum in Los Angeles, California, in front of some pretty successful people and pretty powerful people. And I walked away from that proud of myself for that and excited because finally I'm worthy and finally I believe. So the best of yourself truly also follows a version of me that has evolved and expanded and become more aware. I've ascended. I've expanded in who I am. So when I first started studying this material in September of 2019, I would have taught you, as I taught myself, about self-image. And, Bob Proctor was the first one that I had learned the concept of self-image from. So our self-image is our success mechanism. It's our temperature control gauge that keeps us at a certain level of success in our life. And so wherever we are set to, whatever we are programmed to, that's going to create our success. So you want more success, you create a new self-image and a new self-image and a new self-image. And so what I did is I started to look at all these other people in the world and I started grabbing things from them. I would love that confidence from so-and-so. I would love this discipline from so-and-so. And I would love this, And I remember taking things too, like successful me works out at 5 a.m. every day, and successful me is fit and measures her macros and her food and eats only healthy foods and like all of these things. And I remember it felt like I was creating a new me, like completely outside of who I was and trying to replace it with like the creation of a new version of me. And that started over time to feel kind of hard. And it was kind of like, I'm not actually focusing on me and who I am. I'm focusing on all these other things and all these other people and what I should be. And so that's why Thomas Troward's reading Yourself was so powerful to me, because in that moment I realized that that was not the law of least action. That was not the effortless way. The effortless way was actually to tap into all of my strengths, all of the good things about myself, all of my unique qualities, harness them and allow them to come through. And so this is what really led me then to a remembering of who I really am instead of a creation of a new version of me. I was born with absolute confidence in myself. To not be confident in myself was learned. To believe that I wasn't worthy, I wasn't born unworthy. I developed and learned unworthiness. Being sensitive, being shy, not taking action, procrastinating, all learned behavior over time. So what that means is the version of me that was brought into this world, that was born, was extremely confident, believed she was worthy, took risks, did what she said she was going to do, which is discipline. She was somebody who would go after her dreams, have absolute faith, love, and trust. We trusted that our parents were going to look after us. We trusted that our community would be there. We trusted that we'd be able to walk and that we would be able to jump one day and that we would be able to sleep through the night and all this, feed ourselves, all these things. So we learned to be something different than what we innately are within us. And so the best of yourself is going back to where you originally were, to harness the capabilities that are deep within you already, to find what your uniqueness, what your qualities are, what it means to be yourself, and allow yourself to really flourish. So the best of yourself has 17 chapters. It has 17 topics that I find are imperative and integral for you to becoming the best of yourself. This isn't about becoming better than anybody else. This is about becoming a version of you that is more aware, that is expanded, that is elevated, that is freer, that is more confident, whatever it means to you. And so these 17 chapters, which I'm going to tell you what they are right now, are so incredibly important. The first chapter of this book is called Meeting the Best of Yourself. And so in this chapter, I really want you to see what I mean by this language and what it means to become the best of yourself. And I start to talk about how you can harness that a little bit. The second chapter, which is so incredibly important to becoming the best of yourself, is self-love. And I'm going to give you my opinion and my perspective around self-love and some stories about how I grew my love for myself and how important that was in my journey. And the third chapter is called The Other. So many times we want to look at ourselves and we want to go within and we want to study us. It's personal growth and development. But we don't actually think about what it means to be us in relation to the other. So other people in our world, they're always going to be there. We are not living in isolation. We're not on an island all alone by ourselves. We have other people constantly around us and influencing us. And so it's important for you to know the best of yourself in relation to what I call the other. And so the other people in your life. So the fourth chapter is on faith. And this is where I tell you exactly what I believe faith to be, how I've harnessed it, how you can harness it, and even has some beautiful journal prompts for you to be able to tap into faith more. Chapter 5 is called Universe. Y-O-U Universe. And the reason that I titled it this title is because it is so important for you to understand the law of cause and effect, and that you are literally creating a universe in yourself that is then manifesting the universe around you. So just a fun little way for you to see how important your beliefs about you really are. Chapter 6 is a concept that can be a little bit controversial, but it's me sharing my idea around what it means to be one with spirit versus separate from. So oneness versus separatism. So I believe I am one with the universe, one with God, and therefore I believe I am co-creating. And so not to say you have to believe this, but what if you could, what could that mean for you? Chapter 7 is the ego versus the spirit. So many people think, I should be in my spirit 24/7, have no ego whatsoever, get rid of it. I believe the ego is very powerful and very important and can be very productive. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. Chapter 8 is about identity. This is huge. This is huge. Identity is so important. Chapter 9 is called Judgment-Free Zone. So this chapter talks about how releasing judgments of yourself and of others and of the world will actually allow you to elevate to a higher experience of yourself. Chapter 10 is inferiority. So this was a common place for me in my life where I always felt less than. And so this is for anyone. This chapter is for anybody who has felt or continues to feel less than, what it means, and how you can overcome that feeling to become the best of yourself. Chapter 11 is being limitless. So this is a new idea. This is thinking from possibility instead of circumstance. This is about your extraordinary life and how you can see that there really aren't any limits. Chapter 12 is a very special chapter for me because it was very powerful along my journey, was the idea of what we look like and how important or unimportant it is in your identity journey. Chapter 13, we talk about your abundant self, how important it is for you to see yourself in an abundant and prosperous way and how that actually manifests a different life for you. So I don't want you to just be happier. I don't want you to just love yourself. I want you to have the wholeness and the fullness experience of life, which is also wealth. Chapter 14, I titled, You Take Things So Personal. And the reason I titled this was because I got told that much of my life. People told me all the time, why do you take things so personal? You take things so personal. And I totally understand what that is now. That is my personal mind. That is my intellectual mind. That is my ego that was making it about me when it never really was. And so this chapter is going to be really good for you for that. Chapter 15 is really important. It's called Attraction Based on You. And so the law of attraction says that you will attract based on the vibration that you are in. And vibration simply means emotion, feeling. So the feeling that you have about who you are has a feeling and it attracts. So if you believe that you are highly successful, you're going to attract that success. If you believe you are a failure and you're not worthy, you are going to attract that. So the emotional conception of the self attracts to you. Chapter 16 is where I go over healing and how important the healing process is in this journey and how important it is for you to realize that much of the stuff and the junk that's caught up in the identity that you hold about you is something that you can easily heal from if you're allowing yourself to tap into the emotions. We feel and then we heal. And chapter 17 is self-definition. Every act is an act of self-definition. So the way you show up in this world, the way you express yourself, the way you do or do not do things, the decisions you make, the risks you do or do not take, define who you are and define the experience in this life. So that in a nutshell is the book, The Best of Yourself. It is available now on pre-order on Amazon. We will put all the links. If you would like to leave me a review on that book after you get it, I would love to know what you think. And to you becoming the best of yourself as we do this together. With gratitude, Kathleen. And remember, the limit does not exist.